point out that the sun shines down its power to all the world and makes the wind blow strong as it will. I wonder how gentle rains can fall upon the land, so lovely earth can stay lovely still.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 555th edition of Energy Week with George Harvey and the amazing Tom Fennell.
In the flesh.
In the flesh. In his home.
Yeah.
I could introduce him as the amazing Tom Fennell, the Invisible Man. Okay, this is Energy Week. Today is the 11th of January. We're recording this. What we have here is an aggregation of news on energy and climate change from Thursday, January 4th to Wednesday, January 10th. And this is taken from my blog, geoharvey.com.
Directly from the blog, so this isn't jumbled around like last week.
It's what?
Not jumbled around like last week.
Oh, yes, not jumbled around like last week we were doing 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's why it was jumbled around.
That's right. And this week we will just do our regular format. Okay, so if viewers want to see the original articles, you can go to the blog, geoharvey.com, GeoHarvey, click on the calendar to get the correct date, and then look through the articles there. There's usually 15 articles for any given date.
There's links to every article.
Yep, and then there's also things lower down on the page that have a file you can download that has all of this, or another blog that you can go to. Okay.
Some of these articles are well worth.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We're going to start off with an article from ABC News, and we have a picture of the Block Island wind farm, which was
the Block Island wind farm, huh?
The whole thing, 5 turbines, the biggest wind farm the United States has got offshore. And the article is from ABC News.
Right.
And it's not about the Block Island wind farm, it's about other wind farms that are being built.
Well, we're just about to enter the real world.
Yeah, I think we are. Kind of dipping our toes in the water.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you have for title?
2 large offshore wind sites are sending power to the U.S. grid for the first time.
Yeah, for the first time, turbines are sending electricity to the U.S. grid from the sites of 2 large wind farms in the United States. The first has 62 turbines at Vineyard Wind, which is off
Martha's Vineyard.
Yes, that's near Martha's Vineyard. The first of the 62 is operating, as is the first of the 15 turbines 35 miles east of Montauk Point, New York. And
that's pretty close to the other one. A total of 77 turbines. They're not fooling around.
Well, they're not fooling around, but by European standards, if you put it all together, you'd have one tiny offshore wind farm.
Puny.
That's right.
Okay. Step in the right direction.
It's a step in the right direction. Okay.
The word is inertia.
Yes, the word is inertia.
Really, more than anything else.
That's right. Now we have a picture of a BYD Dolphin and an article from Clean Technica.
Oh, yeah, BYD, Build Your Dreams. That's a Chinese car manufacturer.
That's right.
They make a lot of cars, but fortunately there's a lot of Chinese.
Okay.
So Xpeng, which is also another company, sees 171% growth in the fourth quarter. 171%. That's a bit of growth.
That's a bit of growth. It means that they're doing way more than double the business they were doing the year before.
This article came from Clean Technica, as a lot of articles did this week.
Yeah. Xpeng is no BYD or Tesla. It's far away from the million battery EV sales they reached this year. But Xpeng is growing strongly and can certainly dream about reaching 1 million BEVs, that's battery electric vehicles, per year milestone someday. In terms of 2023, XPeng saw its sales rise to 141,601 units, and that is a 17% increase from 2022, which wouldn't have been an increase, I would bet, if they hadn't had that 171% growth in the fourth quarter.
Well, XPeng, I don't even know about XPeng. You know, they make cars for China, and there's a lot of Chinese.
There's a lot.
Not even about exporting them, but BYD is.
Yes, that's right.
Your dreams.
We will get to that. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. So the next item that we have is also from Clean Technica, and it's about a solid-state battery.
Now, this is interesting because you've heard me say that in 4 years of study at RPI, we spent 47 minutes studying batteries. That's about right. I followed this article. Man, the last night all I did was read about batteries. And they're fascinating.
Yeah, they are. But they're
battery technology that I never dreamed of.
Yeah, although
particularly this picture here. That's all solid state, just no liquid.
Yes, that's right. And you know, I'll tell you something interesting, Tom.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the name of the battery. It's a name like the Clarendon Pile. That battery was put together in the 1830s or the 1840s, and it was set to work.
Still going.
And it's still going. Yep. After almost 200 years, this thing is still powering a bell. That it rings a bell every half second.
Well, the point of this article is that there's a lot of changing in battery technology right now.
The reason I bring that up is that was a solid-state battery.
That was a solid-state battery.
It was a solid-state battery. There's no liquid in it.
Now, that, to me, is impossible. I mean, I read about it yesterday, and I know it's possible. As a matter of fact, it's really quite promising.
Yes. Why don't you read the article's title, and I'll read the synopsis.
Power company, PowerCo.
Yes.
Test QuantumScape's new solid-state battery for Volkswagen and likes what it sees.
Yeah, Volkswagen leveled up its EV battery business in 2022 with its PowerCo branch. Now, PowerCo is a branch of Volkswagen. And maybe I should call it Volkswagen. PowerCo is, we're in an English-speaking country here, put a solid-state battery from QuantumScape through its paces. It passed with flying colors, bringing the solid-state battery of the future one step closer.
Well, I spent a lot of time, as I said, reading about batteries yesterday.
Yeah.
And there is an awful lot of growth here.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. I think it's the hottest growing part of clean energy. And
we're in our infancy. There's battery technology that's been proven.
Yes.
That's just sitting on a shelf somewhere.
That's right. Okay, we're up to Friday, January 5th. We have another article from Clean Technica. That's 3 in a row.
Oh, we got a lot of articles from Clean Technica this week.
Yeah, we do.
There's a picture of a solar array.
Yeah.
How about that? Hello?
Hello? Are you there?
As I said, it's a picture of a solar array.
Right. Got a title?
Bright Night, the company, that's 2 words together, Bright Night, gets a $375 million renewables energy credit line with a green loan twist. What does that all mean?
The U.S. startup Bright Night has become a renewable energy force to be reckoned with. It just nailed down a new $375 million line of credit that will enable it. No, that's not. Tom, we should get together and spend that much for lunch one day and see what it buys us.
Yeah, that'd be fun. We could invite the whole town of Brattleboro.
We could actually invite the whole state, yeah. that will enable it to push ahead with a portfolio of 31 gigawatts worth of wind, solar, and energy storage products. Well, they're not going to get 31.
But it's just a drop in the bucket.
It's a drop in the bucket for 31 gigawatts, but it's every dime, quarter helps.
A gigawatt is a megawatt.
That's right. Now, I've got a picture coming up now of a microburst.
Looks like a storm cloud.
Another article from
in the distance.
Yeah, another article from Clean Technica, and I will tell you why I chose this picture for this article.
Okay.
After you read the
I'll read the title.
Yeah.
Positive climate solutions to celebrate in 2024.
Yeah. And, here I am a NIMBY. I do not want that thing in my backyard. Thank you very much. Do you know what a microburst is, Tom?
I'm looking at a picture of it.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like
it's a super thunderstorm.
It is, except that it's got an extremely powerful downdraft. It's like a tornado that's been turned upside down.
Uh-huh.
You do not want one of these things in your backyard.
I don't think you do.
And here we are. We have a positive climate solutions to celebrate, and I'm celebrating the fact that that guy is not in my backyard.
It's out of my mouth. Positive climate solutions to celebrate.
Yeah.
In 2024.
That's right. In 2024, the numbers about fossil fuels, renewable energy solutions, and clean tech innovations are quite illuminating. And frequently, they are contradictory. But together, clean climate solutions offer a generally positive framework for the energy transition that is taking place around us.
Well, it's a step in the right direction. And as Bill Clinton would have said, it's the economics, stupid.
Yeah. Was that really Bill Clinton? I thought it was somebody else.
No, he said it's the economy.
Well, he did say it, but I think it started with...
Oh, it could have started with somebody else.
Okay, our next item, believe it or not, comes from... Where do you suppose this comes from?
I'm going to stick my neck out and say clean tech.
That's right. Okay, what do you got for a title?
U.S. Department of Energy, quote, $70 million to strengthen energy sector against physical and cyber hazards. That's going to need a little bit of an explanation.
Right. Let me read the synopsis and then we can talk about it. The U.S. DOE announced that up to $70 million in funding to support research intended to increase resilience and reduce risks to energy delivery infrastructure from cyber and physical threats, extreme weather events, natural disasters, and other hazards. Okay, and we have talked about this problem off and on. I think we've talked about it for 10 years, you and I, Tom.
That wouldn't be an exaggeration.
No. The first time I came across the idea of a coronal discharge, I was flabbergasted. The entire U.S. grid could be shut down for over a year by a coronal discharge because it could basically blow away parts of the infrastructure that would be extremely hard to replace. And
so what you're saying is the grid is very delicate.
The grid is very delicate, and this coronal discharge thing, I think it was called the Carrington event in the 1850s. There was a coronal discharge from the sun. There was a big coronal display. A mass of ejected matter from the sun hit the Earth, and it caused a lot of funny things to happen, like aurora borealis and so forth. But it basically fried the United States telegraph system. And there were telegraph keys that were just jumping, even though nobody was signaling anything, because of the changes in electricity. There were sparks flying in some telegraph offices that set piles of paper on fire, and things like that happened. And the thing is, if this happens in the United States, if it happened today, it could cause transformers to blow all over the country.
Oh, yeah,
And
it could definitely do that.
we don't manufacture those transformers. They have to be specially made, and we don't make them. They have to be made in China or India. That's not a good idea. That's not a prescription for success.
I don't think so.
So this is why they're
a lot on faith.
Yeah, and there are things that you can do to ensure that the grid is going to continue operating and life is going to go on.
Well, it's happening as we speak. The grid itself is changing.
Yes, it is. That's right.
I mean, big producers of energy like Central Vermont Public Service and stuff like that, they're fading away, and we're getting distributed power on the grid.
Right.
We're getting small little things like little towns in upstate Vermont running their own utility system.
That's right. And for a person who has a few solar panels on the roof and a battery and can keep his own power going off grid, that will work, provided that they have done an intelligent installation that takes into account what happens if the coronal discharge hits or some other similar event takes place, because a nuclear bomb
the day of large utilities feeding the grid is over. They don't know it yet, but they're dead.
Well, I don't think they're exactly dead, but it reminds me.
They're dying.
Yeah, it reminds me of the guy who said
much smaller contributions to the grid distributed throughout the grid.
Chivalry is not yet dead, but it is on the critical list, and that's the same thing for the old style of utilities. Okay. We have an item of green investment, and I'm going to put up a picture of green investment. A nice
it looks like green investment to me.
Yeah, it's a nice little.
Inside a mason jar, huh?
Yeah, filled with European money. I don't think American money would work quite as well.
Oh, that's money. Yeah, there's quarters at the bottom.
Well,
there.
No, this is. If you look at it, it's a European 50-cent piece.
Okay.
It's anyway.
And a little plant there.
And a little plant, which looks like it could be a very small type of citrus tree. I don't know. It does look like a very small citrus tree. Okay, what do you got? This is from, oh my gosh, Clean Technica.
How about that? You get tired of saying that this week.
Yeah. Well, we'll celebrate when we get something else. What do you got?
Green investments begin to pay off for big banks.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yep. For the second year in a row, global banks made more from investments supporting environmentally friendly projects than they did from financing oil, gas, and coal activities. While the difference is not yet large, it is an indicator that green energy is outpacing fossil fuels.
Say that again, because that's important.
The difference is not large, but green power is outpacing fossil fuels. I've been thinking about this, Tom. I started to think, when did the world start to turn away from coal? And I finally got a date.
It's recently.
No, I'm dating it from 1905.
Oh.
And the reason is because that's the year that the United States stopped making coal-powered destroyers and started making them powered by oil.
That's interesting. Yes, they used to be coal-powered ships, and then they.
Yep.
By the time I was in the Navy, they were all oil-powered.
Right,
and now with solid state stuff like that, they're going to be electric powered.
They might be. They might be. I don't know. They might be.
The carrier deck, for example, that could be all solar panels.
And they could still have jets landing on them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. The Navy started moving away from coal in 1905, and by some point in the First World War, all ships were powered by by oil rather. All of the U.S. Navy ships, and the date when the coal mines had the highest number of miners was in the 1920s, and it just started going off from then as as people started powering things with oil and gas, and I mean,
well, it's a lot easier to do. I mean,
yeah,
it's a lot of work to get coal out of the ground.
yes, and to feed it into the fireboxes. I keep being amazed at the fact that during the Second World War, there were 2 American naval vessels that were both powered by coal, which was shoveled into fireboxes by hand. Both of them were aircraft carriers, believe it or not. Both of them had a rudder in the front and a rudder in the back, and they had side paddles. We had 2 coal-fired side paddle aircraft carriers.
I did not know that.
And they were both based in Chicago.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not making this up. One of them was called the Sable, and the other was called the Wolverine. And
Well, Chicago does have a big naval presence.
It does. That's right. The first time I was ever on a submarine, it was in Chicago. I think this is so funny. All right, let's keep going.
I was in Albany.
You were in Albany. Okay.
Albany, New York. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, we have another article from Clean Technica. You're right, I'm getting bored of this.
Okay, I guess that's when your local public radio station advertises fossil fuels, ...
Yeah, let me get the correct picture up. And this is a picture of a sign that says "Break free from fossil fuels." And,
No, it's happening.
Yep, this is a writer. I don't remember who the writer was who wrote this, but this is a quote. "My local public radio station, Oregon Public Broadcasting, which broadcasts throughout Oregon and Southwest Washington, has been running advertisements for fossil fuel industry named Northwest Natural for over the past year," end quote. NPR also accepts fossil fuels ads. It's time to take action. And, it's time to tell these guys they should not be advertising fossil fuels. And,
Well, they won't be.
What's that?
They won't be. It's just not economical anymore.
Yeah, well, the time is coming.
The time is here.
Yeah, the time is here. That's right.
As we speak.
That's right. Okay, I'm going to go on to the next thing. We have a picture of an interior of an electric vehicle.
Looks like a dashboard to me.
Yeah, and this, believe it or not, is from?
Clean Technical.
There you go. What do you have for title?
Don't worry if your favorite GM EV doesn't qualify for a federal tax credit. You're going to explain to me why you shouldn't worry.
Okay, General Motors announced it will provide incentives of $7,500 on its own EVs, electric vehicles, to offset the loss of a U.S. federal tax credit. General Motors told its dealers it will provide the equivalent of an EV tax credit amount for any vehicles that become ineligible due to new guidelines. Now, I have no idea how long that deal is going to last, but there it is.
This is a state of flux.
It is. Okay, I'm going to go to the next item.
Moving right along.
And believe it or not, this is from a publication called Rental Management.
That's what it's called.
That's what it's called.
It is a picture of a mobile microgrid.
Yeah.
Now that's interesting. You can move this anywhere you need it.
You can take it anywhere you need it. And the reason why, there is a reason why it is in rental management.
Okay, and you're going to tell us why.
Well, you're going to give us the title.
United Rentals adds solar battery generators to its fleet.
Now we know why.
Yep.
United Rentals, Stanford, Connecticut, has agreed to purchase the new high-power EHR solar battery generator from High Power Systems in Olathe, Kansas, for its rental fleet. United Rentals said it is the first equipment rental company to offer mobile microgrid systems for rent.
That's interesting. You're going to have an event, a large event.
Yeah.
You you bring the global microgrid along.
That's right, and you know it's something that you could, if you have an outdoor rally or a big.
Well, it doesn't have to be something of significance, but
No.
You can do it now.
Yeah.
You just roll up the power source.
That's right. That is right. Now, next we're going to Norway.
Wait a second, something's wrong with my scrolling here.
You'll get it.
I don't know. Well, it stopped doing it, so.
Okay.
It wasn't scrolling for a while, but it's okay.
Okay.
And we're back in Norway. We're in a fjord.
We're in a fjord back in Norway, and we have an article from Clean Technica.
How about that, huh?
Okay.
And they look like they're standing on a rock that's sticking out over the fjord.
You know, every time I see something like that, it makes me physically hurt. I've always had a fear of heights.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's an interesting picture.
It is an interesting picture, and there is no way you would get me out on that rock.
I'd crawl out there. I guess you'd get a little bit of. I'm trying to think of the word. A little bit of fear of heights standing on that rock.
I forget. Something phobia.
There's a name for it.
Is it agoraphobia?
Agoraphobia.
No, agoraphobia is fear of a market, which means fear of crowds.
Yeah, that's right.
I think it might be agoraphobia.
It's neither here nor there. Let's move along.
Okay. What do you got for a title for Norway?
Norway moves aggressively to curb cruise ship emissions. Now, this is a step in the right direction.
I think so. According to Transport and Environment, in 2017, Carnival Cruise Line emitted, this is astonishing to me.
Transport and Environment is a magazine.
Yeah. Carnival Cruise Line emitted nearly 10 times as much sulfur oxides along the coast of Europe as all 260 million cars. This says million, but it means million.
Say that again, because
on the continent.
10 times.
Carnival Cruise, this is in 2017. Carnival Cruise, with however many ships it had, emitted nearly 10 times as much sulfur oxides along the coast of Europe as all 260 million cars on the continent.
Carnival Cruise they're a vacation vessel, aren't they?
That's right. Starting in 2026, only ships powered by alternative fuels will be allowed to visit Norway's fjords.
Now, that's significant.
Yes, that's right. And if you look at that fjord, you can see part of the reason why Norway was first. That fjord could be 10, 15 miles long, and it could have a city at an end where you've got to go up 15 miles of what is the equivalent of a river, but it's very deep, in order to get to the city. And
yep, absolutely. That exists today.
Right, and part of the problem with this is, like, if you want to get from one part of Norway to another, you have to go around all these fjords. I think Norway has a longer coastline than the United States. In fact,
very well.
I'd be surprised.
I was in one of those fjords with the Navy.
What's that?
I was in one of those fjords with the U.S. Navy.
Yeah. And what happens is any ship that goes in there is going to be burning, like the Carnival Cruise Line. Any ship that goes in there is going to be burning probably number 6 bunker fuel. And that is a cheap fuel because it's full of sulfur. And you cannot sell that stuff to burn it in a diesel truck or whatnot. If you're going to refine it to turn it into gasoline or diesel oil or home heating oil, you have to get the sulfur out. So because these ships go out to sea where they're in international waters, they can burn really horrible fuel.
And they do.
And they do.
Yeah.
And Norway said, not here, not in Norway. And if you think about it, think about a ship going up that fjord and the fact that you've got walls.
It's going to be pollution.
There's going to be pollution, and it's going to stay in that fjord for a long time, or at least it's going to have a possibility of doing that. Okay, we should move along, and we have another article from, you want to guess?
Let me guess that it's Clean Technical.
By golly, you must be psychic. Okay.
Picture of the port of Virginia.
Yeah, it might be unbelievable that there is a place called the Port of Virginia, but there is.
Look at all of those containers, huh?
Yeah, and that's only part of it. And I have a sense that it's actually a small part of it. But
That's commerce, boy. That's commerce for you.
There you have it. And what do you got for a title?
Major U.S. shipping port gets 100% clean energy, but it's complicated.
Yeah. The super busy Port of Virginia is celebrating the achievement of 100% clean energy that covers the port's 116 electric stacking cranes, 4 electric rail cranes, and 27 electric ship-to-shore cranes, among other things. Diesel vehicles are not counted, but they are still in use. So it's 100% renewable energy if you agree only to count the renewable energy part.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Step in the right direction.
It is a step in the right direction, no question about it. Okay, I'm going to go to the next item, and this has a picture of New York City.
You know, it looks like New York City. It really does.
Where do you think that is, Tom?
Lower East Side.
That's the Lower East Side? I didn't realize it. They had the ups and downs in the Lower East Side.
Well, that's kind of magnified.
Okay.
The bottom of that is probably Canal Street.
Okay. I'll take your word for it. This is from, guess where?
Well, I'm going to stick my neck out and say Clean Technica.
I believe that's the case. Okay. What do you have for title?
Cities should prioritize electric vehicle adoption in 2024.
Yeah.
Duh.
Without easy access to charging, many apartment dwellers are skeptical about EVs. They need local leaders who can explain reasons why transportation should be electrified. And those reasons include economic development, workforce expansion, health benefits, climate pollution, and more. And they are not kidding about that.
No, they're not. I mean, there is electrified transportation in New York, but it's being subsidized, or not subsidized, but transplanted by diesel-powered buses, and they got to go.
The diesel, yeah, but the thing is, when you have that number of cars in that amount of that small area, and you know, the streets in New York can be filled with cars, and it isn't even rush hour. And
well, you can say you can see some of the buildings in that picture.
Yeah.
They're apartment houses.
Yeah.
And those people are sucking up fumes all day long.
I remember I studied at Columbia at one time, and I remember hearing on the news while I was at Columbia that the air on Wall Street had too much carbon monoxide in it to pass a safety test.
I can believe that.
That's the outdoor air.
I can believe that.
On the other hand, the air had a level of oxygen that was too low to use a mask that would filter out carbon monoxide.
How about that?
You know, this is bad. Now, of course, that isn't telling you what's inside the buildings, because that was done outside at street level. And of course, inside those buildings, what they should be doing is sucking down the air for ventilation from the top of the building, where the air is better than it is at street level.
That's an interesting point.
Yeah. Okay, should we go on?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. We have a picture here of a solar power plant in West Virginia. And this article...
It looks like it.
This
Holy
article,
cow.
surprising.
Solar plant. That's a big solar plant.
Yeah, it is. This article, believe it or not, comes from Clean Technica.
And it says, and I quote, coal state, killing coal with solar power, 1 megawatt at a time.
Yep.
I'll say that again. It makes some sense.
Okay.
Coal state is killing coal with solar power, 1 megawatt at a time.
Right. The coal state of West Virginia has been achingly slow to join the solar power revolution. It ranks 49th in ranking of installed solar capacity by state. Nevertheless,
That's all politics.
That's what?
All politics.
Yeah, 3 solar and energy storage projects are moving forward there, indicating that a change is in the wind. So
The economics, stupid.
that's right. We're getting to a point where coal may be the king in West Virginia, but it's a king that has lost its crown a long time ago. In the 1920s, there were way over 800,000 coal workers, coal miners in the United States. Right now, there's about 38,000. Why did that happen? Well, it didn't happen. Actually, almost none of that in terms of percentages can be blamed on Barack Obama.
They're going to blame it on him anyhow.
Yeah, they will try, but...
At least Trump will.
Well, yeah, but truth be told, I looked at this for quite a while and came to the conclusion that during Trump's term, the coal industry suffered a great deal more than it did under Barack Obama. And
isn't that interesting?
it is Donald Trump's doing, his personal doing, that caused that to happen, because he was favoring fracking. And the fracking was putting the coal mines out of business.
Did I read the title?
You did.
Okay.
And we read that whole thing, believe it or not. Okay, we have a battery project. Let's go to that.
Can't dance.
Can't dance.
Looks like a battery project to
Yeah,
me.
doesn't it?
A lot of batteries.
Yeah, there's a lot of batteries there. This is, believe it or not, from the News Center, Maine.
I don't have that information.
You don't?
For some reason or another, I lost it.
Oh.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Do you have the title for
Gorham to be home to Maine's first giant battery project.
Yep. Energy storage is needed to support renewable energy in Maine. This spring, one of New England's largest battery storage projects will be built in Gorham, Maine. It presages other storage projects seen as critical for optimizing the region's growing fleet of solar and wind power plants. So that storage project is not really tied to a specific wind farm or solar farm, but there it is.
There it is.
There it is.
And that's changing as we move along.
Yes. Now we're up to Tuesday, January 9th.
All day.
All day. And we have an item from Renews.
And we got a picture of, are you ready for this?
Yes.
A wind farm.
Oh, is that what that is?
It's probably the same wind farm we looked at from a different angle before.
I don't know. Anyway, what do you got for a title?
Ilmatar. I guess that's
I
the name
think
of it.
that's what it is, yeah.
Ilmatar starts up a Finnish wind farm.
All of the 36 wind turbines at Ilmatar's 221 megawatt wind farm in South Ostrobothnia, Finland, have been brought into operation. The site forms part of the developer's first hybrid renewable energy park, which eventually will also include a 150 megawatt solar farm and a 25 megawatt battery. And, you know, I read that 221 megawatts of wind, 150 megawatts of solar, and that 25 megawatt battery just sounds very small, doesn't it?
Well, batteries, you don't measure in megawatts, you measure in megawatt hours.
Yeah, well, you measure them in both.
Yeah.
But yeah, they should have included the number of megawatt hours. I mean, if that were an iron air battery, a 25 megawatt battery could be 2.5 gigawatts. So now it starts to sound like, whoa, where did that come from? Okay, we have coming up, believe it or not, an item from Clean Technica.
Amazing.
And
New
yeah, go
solid
ahead.
state battery section. That's what the picture is.
Yeah, it's actually, as I look at that, I see that it's not a section, it's two sections side by side, because one of them has the top green band divided by a broad, very dark, kind of almost black band, and the other one looks like it's got dendrites in it. So I think those are sections from two separate solid state batteries.
It could very well be.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
Okay, what do you got for a title?
Harvard spinoff lobs a solid-state battery bomb at fossil fuels.
Right. New energy storage technology is driving fossil fuels out of the global economy. That sounds like something you might say, Tom.
Yeah.
And
It's happening.
Yeah, Adden Energy, a Harvard University spinoff, is adding fuel to the fire. The new solid-state battery can last for 6,000 cycles. That's a lot of cycles.
That's for sure.
And it takes about the same amount of time to charge as it takes to fill a tank of gas.
Now, that's significant. You can recharge your battery at the same time it takes to fill a tank.
Yeah. Of course, in order to do that, they would have to put battery chargers into places where you can get to them. That
They have to be pretty good-sized battery chargers, too.
Yeah, they would have to put in chargers that are bigger than anything that's there today.
Yeah.
It would have,
But it's coming.
I think it is. Okay.
There's a battery charger in Brattleboro's parking garage.
Yeah. Yeah. There's also battery chargers, Tesla battery chargers up at the Price Chopper Mall.
Oh, are there, huh?
Yeah, there's a bunch of them up there.
Well, I've seen pictures of battery chargers being connected to street lamps.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Well, these things are happening.
Yeah, they are. We have an item now that comes from Clean Technica, believe it or not.
Amazing.
Isn't that astonishing?
It looks to me like a heat pump.
It looks like a heat pump, that's right. And it actually is. It's a Daikin heat pump.
And it says, and I quote, leading heat pump manufacturers successfully develop next generation prototypes.
Yep, the United States Department of Energy announced that 4 more heat pump makers successfully produced heat pump prototypes as part of the Residential Cold Climate Heat Pump Technology Challenge, which is more words that I'd want to put in a title. A Department of Energy initiative supporting transition to cold climate heat pumps. Now, what they're worried about here is in terms of energy outlay to heat a house, the cheapest way to go is a heat pump. There's no question about that. And in fact, in terms of dollars spent, heat pumps are pretty close to the cheapest way you can do things. The problem is that in northern climates, Vermont, Wisconsin, wherever, the heat pumps lose efficiency as the temperature gets closer and closer into the below zero range.
That's interesting.
Yeah. It's like, how well does your refrigerator work when it's super hot out? And the answer to that is your refrigerator is going to use a lot of electricity when it's super hot out because it's got to work hard keeping the inside of the refrigerator cold. Well, heat pumps are the same thing. When the temperature outside is too cold, the heat pump has got to gather heat from the cold outdoors.
It pumps heat from source A to source B.
That's right. And source A is cold and source B is warmer. And that's exactly what a refrigerator does. It has a heat pump that pumps the heat out of the inside of the refrigerator.
The food.
Yep, into the kitchen. And a heat pump will work beautifully. A cheap heat pump will work beautifully at 40 degrees.
Yep.
But when you get down to 0, you've got to have a good heat pump. And the Department of Energy wanted better heat pumps and more of them for houses in northern climates. So it went to the heat pump industry and said, we're going to give you reasons to produce new, better heat pumps. Yeah. Did you know that never mind. I kind of zoned out there. Our next item is from Clean Technica.
Amazing.
Isn't it? And we have a nice chart here that came from
the chart of U.S. battery capacity.
Yeah, and you can see
that growth.
Yeah, this is a lot of growth.
Exponential.
Yeah, it is. Although it's not going to stay exponential, it'll start tapering off at some point. Either that, or all of America will eventually be covered by batteries, and I don't think that'll happen.
I don't think.
You don't think
well,
what?
It says, and I quote, U.S. battery storage capacity expected to nearly double in 2024.
Planned and currently operational in the United States, large-scale battery capacity totaled around 16 gigawatts at the end of 2023. Developers plan to add another 15 gigawatts in 2024, which means that they're going to more than double the amount of capacity that we've got installed in 1 year, this year.
Well, 15 plus 9 is equal to 24.
15 plus 9? Oh, yeah. And 9 gigawatts in 2025. Yeah, but the 15 gigawatts will be added to the 16 gigawatts that were already here. So they're going to be just about doubling the amount of capacity for batteries in the United States this year.
Yeah.
So we have 9 gigawatts coming in 2025. This is according to data from the EIA's, that's the Energy Information Administration, their latest preliminary monthly electric generator inventory. And I want to tell you, I have learned long since that I want to take any information that comes from that particular administration, the Energy Information Administration, the EIA, with a grain of salt. They're very, very good at supplying data that is historical, but their projections for solar power are just way off, have been way off, because they failed to account. Originally, what they were doing was they were saying, we're not interested in anything that's bigger, that's smaller than 1 megawatt rather, or 5 megawatts, depending upon what it was. But if you limit your inventory checks on solar power to 1 megawatt or 5 megawatts, you're going to be eliminating over 98% of all installations, because the huge number of them are smaller
installations.
Yeah, they're going up on people's rooftops, and you eliminate that, and you're eliminating a major source of electricity.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they were way off, and they had a thing that went every year. They would say, well, the growth of solar power has been exponential to date. However, it will level off in the next 18 months. And they said that every year.
Yep.
It doesn't make sense. If it's going to be exponential to date, what about the prediction you had last year and the year before and the year before and the year before that it was going to level off within 18 months? That doesn't fit with the fact that it's exponential now. They finally, about 4 or 5 years ago, decided that they were going to address that issue, and they admitted it. They admitted that it was a problem. But how do you keep track of all those installations? And the answer to that is it's hard to know. Okay.
I was going to say it's pretty difficult.
Okay, should we go on, Tom?
Yes.
Okay, now we have a picture, and I think we've seen this picture before.
Interesting picture, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. A picture of a sign indicating you're coming to a signal, and what do you got is a flood, a time to pull your canoe out. This is from the BBC.
That's the British Broadcasting Corporation.
It sure is. Yep.
It says, and I quote, 2023 confirmed as the world's hottest year on record.
Right. The year 2023 has been confirmed as the warmest year on record, driven by human-caused climate change and boosted by El Nino weather event. Last year was about 1.48 degrees Celsius warmer. We're almost at 1.5, and they want to stop it at 1.5. Warmer than the long-term average.
That was 1.8 Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
1.48 centigrade is 1.8 Fahrenheit. So,
okay.
They've exceeded themselves.
Oh, yeah. That is 1.48 Celsius warmer than the long-term average before humans started burning large amounts of fossil fuels, the EU Climate Service says.
We can't take too much of that. We got to.
Yes, you're absolutely right, Tom.
Huh?
We cannot take too much of that. We are at the limit that
Absolutely.
We were saying we had to avoid by 2050, and there is no way that the temperature is going to stop increasing now, because we're still dumping emissions from fossil fuels into the atmosphere.
We're still burning things. We got to stop burning things.
Yes, and honestly, the various things. There was a time that I had hoped that we could get this situation fixed with biofuels, and maybe I'm wrong about that, but I think at this point that biofuels should probably be avoided. Same thing with hydrogen. I'm not sure that hydrogen is going to work, and nuclear just looks like a disaster to me because it's so expensive and takes so long that by the time we get plants online, the game is going to be over.
Well, I think the world is realizing that nuclear is dead.
Some of it, yeah, but there's huge pushes, and
harder.
There are big companies and countries, as a matter of fact, that are pushing nuclear, and they want people to build it because it's a good way for them to get rich, they think.
Yeah, it's economic.
We've got the solar panels and the wind turbines and the batteries and a few other things that don't cause pollution, that can be put up this year, next year, and that's where we should be putting our efforts, I think.
I think so.
Okay, we have one last article.
It's a picture of an electric fire truck.
Isn't that
lovely?
lovely?
Prove it to me that was electric, though.
No, it does have a grill. My bet is that they built it with a grill because that's what the pattern said should be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the way.
That truck is a pumper.
That truck is a pumper, that's right.
Its purpose on a fire is to pump water.
That is right. And when you have a fire, it's a good thing to be able to pump water, although it doesn't always work. This article came from Clean Technica.
Amazing.
Amazing. What do you got for a title?
100% American-made electric fire truck enters service in Mesa, Arizona.
This is the first 100% American-made electric fire truck. You know, Tom, it strikes me as almost unbelievable that it is 100% American-made anything. Everything is made with parts that come outside the country.
That's true. They made his truck here, but they didn't make all the parts here.
Well, one of the things that happened in the legislation that got passed recently in Washington, the Inflation Reduction Act and the other legislation that was brought about during the current administration. There a lot of the effort that they're doing now is to get things made in America.
Well, our fire department has a truck looks just like that, but it's not electric.
Right. E1, based in Florida, is a full-spectrum builder of fire apparatus and is a pioneer and recognized leader in extruded aluminum and stainless steel construction. Recently, the company has introduced Vector, the first American-made all-electric fire truck. And of course, that's what we're looking at there.
Absolutely.
You
couldn't tell by looking at it that it's electric.
No, but it's easy to believe. I mean,
oh sure,
those fire
it's a
trucks.
good idea because when you bring it into the source of a fire,
yeah,
there may not be a source of electric power there.
Well, of course, fire trucks historically have had diesel generators and diesel engines, so they could be independent. But
they have two engines, one to drive the truck and the other to move the water.
Yes, that's right. And traditionally, I think both of them are diesel. But this one is obviously going to be both electric, and that's fine. You know, an electric fire truck makes an enormous amount of sense when you consider that they don't drive very far. What they do is they pump a lot of water. So you're talking about a constant supply of electricity coming along constantly, and that's how it's done. So anyway, I'm going to put up our last image here.
Well, that is our last image to put up.
That fire truck was the last image, but I also always have a last image that wishes people a good week, and that's what I've got. It's a thing that says, "Have an emphatically merry week."
Emphatically merry?
Emphatically merry. I like nonsense. It's one of my favorite things. Anyway.
Well, overall, I think the trend is toward improvements, but it's going to take a long time.
It's going to take time because people are resisting this.
Burning things.
People want to burn things. That's right. They want to burn oil. They want to burn gas. They want to burn whatever, coal, wood. Stranded assets. And there was an article in the news today where they were talking about stranded assets and the fact that people don't want them. Anyway, time to say goodbye. So I'm waving goodbye, and I happen to know that Tom is.
I'm waving goodbye, but my cat's not waving goodbye.
Why not?
I don't know. He's in the other room. He found himself a nice, soft chair to sleep in.
Cats do that, don't they?
Yeah, cats are cool.
Yeah, they're very cool.
They're a lot smarter than they want you to think they are.
They do not want you to know how smart they are, except for a few of them who are not very smart. Have a good week, Tom. Have a good week, everybody. Come back next time.
You all come back and see us now, you hear?
That's right.